poorer and an assault conviction against his name. Ian Botham's visit to Perth ended in court, where the story unfolded of a mid-air argument with Captain Alan Border and a violent clash with another passenger.
When Ian Botham and Greg Ritchie arrived at Central Law Courts this morning, Botham could only offer a wry smile for the cameras. Inside, Ritchie pleaded not guilty to a charge of offensive behaviour on Ansett Flight 55 to Perth last week. Ritchie will face the court again on October 17, when several Queensland cricketers, key witnesses in the hearing, will have finished commitments in England. Botham pleaded guilty to a charge of offensive behaviour and assault. During the flight, the prosecution alleged Botham, Ritchie and Captain Alan Border were sitting together. When Ritchie got up and left his seat, that was when a loud and abusive argument developed between Border and Botham. Mr Alan Winter, sitting in front of Botham, turned round and said, "Come on, fella, keep it down. It's becoming a bit common in here." Botham then stood up and told Winter to mind his own business, and then grabbed Winter by the scalp and hair on either side of the temple and shook his head. Another passenger turned round to see what was happening, and Botham said, "You, eyes to the front, shut up or you're next." Before Magistrate Michaelides retired to consider penalty, counsel for Botham, John Stoudy, reminded the magistrate that his client had to catch a 12 o'clock flight. The magistrate then replied, "You are presupposing that he will be in a position to catch a flight." And missed the flight he did. Waiting anxiously for her husband at Perth Airport was Botham's wife, Kathy. In the cricket star's long career, it's not the first time she's been forced to sit on the sidelines and wait for the outcome of a court appearance. Magistrate Michaelides praised Botham's charity work, but said on this occasion his language was offensive and crude and the attack on Mr Winter unjustified. He fined Botham $300 for offensive behaviour and $500 on the assault charge. Outside the court, Botham was saying little.
You've had plenty to say all the way through it, so why don't you just continue saying whatever you want to say?
Botham caught an afternoon flight to Brisbane, and ironically Ansett helped shield him from the cameras by allowing him to use their VIP lounge. Michael Thompson, National 9 News.
Court yesterday when he was fined $800 plus costs on assault charges.
You all jump to conclusions, you very quickly criticise. And I fed up of hearing from the press, in every country I play, I have a right to the public. What about the public showing me some respect? If that man had kept his nose out of an argument that had nothing to do with him, between Alan Border and myself, none of this would have happened.
Right. Then, a serve for those who want him out of the England Test team.
British MPs are looking for my second. Let me tell you, let me have a guess. A Labour Party.
Alan Border and the rest of the team returned last night, with Border readily agreeing the better team had won the Shield, but admitting the aircraft incident unsettled his side. Border refused to endorse his captaincy of a side that would include Botham next year, but played down their disagreements.
You know, we're still good friends, and, you know, it's not our first argument. We've had plenty of blues on and off the field before, and probably won't be our last. I just think it was just probably badly timed, and it was, you know, a bit of a tragedy that resulted in this, you know, drama that's going on.
Great cricketer and a great Australian, Alan Border. Thank you. You got it, yes, son.
We all agree with that.
Botham apparently is keen to play next year. The question now is whether the QCA or the Queensland public want him.
Honest, I'm not assaulting her, all right? Just put her down on the floor. There you go, okay?
Botham faces a double-header with the cricket judiciary tomorrow, the aircraft incident and another in Launceston.
$1,000 by the Australian Cricket Board for twice breaching its code of behaviour. The England all-rounder was found guilty of misconduct on a flight to Perth for the Shield final and for willful damage to a dressing room in Launceston. Former Australian fast bowler Dennis Lilly was found guilty over the same dressing room incident. He was fined $1,800.
While Ian Botham was acquainting himself with the elephants he is about to cross the French Alps with for charity, the Australian Cricket Board's Code of Behaviour Commissioner for Queensland, Ron Archer, was handing down his sentence after hearing the two separate reports. Botham had already been fined $800 in the Perth Court of Petty Sessions after pleading guilty to assault and offensive behaviour charges resulting from Ansett Flight 55. In handing down his sentence today, Mr Archer, while conceding that Botham was a larger-than-life personality, was convinced that his actions, while possibly exaggerated by the media, were extremely detrimental to the game and could not be tolerated. Botham was fined $500 at the start of the month for violating the Code of Behaviour in the Shield match against Victoria, and while considering strongly the option of suspension on this occasion, Mr Archer opted instead for a stern warning. Should Botham come before him in similar circumstances again next season, he faces a long holiday from Australian cricket. In Hobart, Dennis Lilly was also found guilty and fined for his part in the damage done to the Queensland dressing room following the McDonald's Cup match against Tasmania. While the Alpine road ahead for Ian Botham may be rocky enough, his path in Australian cricket is equally unsure. The Queensland Cricket Association meets tomorrow to decide whether or not to terminate his 3-year contract with the state.